right. You got me? You know what I'm saying? Before they do, they got to take the what? Cup. طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. So first and foremost is for the people watching or the people that's going to tune in, I don't want to put the camera on. Some brothers may say it's supposed to be a locker room talk. I don't want to show my face, etc., etc. But just being real, no sugar, no preservatives, no GMO, just being honest and being real. It's almost 12 a.m. at night. Almost 12 a.m. at night, alhamdulillah. You guys are here waiting for me all this time. I'm coming from lecture after question, after autograph, after shake, right on. Making this up? Didn't stop talking, teaching from morning until now. So alhamdulillah, this is a beautiful thing. And don't underestimate the power and the strength of this thing. Alright? The concept of you keeping it real, and inshallah, I'm trying my best to keep it real. You guys can be home sleep, I could be home sleep. Alright? It's an hour behind, different time zone. It's not my home, no matter what type of hotel I'm in, it's not home. There's no place like home. I've been to some luxurious hotels before. And I've been to some crazy, low down, water bug motels before on dollar trips. I've been in some 5-6 star hotels, luxurious stuff, something that you see on TV, literally. And I've been in some hotels in which I got bit by spiders all on my face. No matter who brother feeds you, no matter who cooks, praying is using the bathroom. There's no place like home. A total level of comfort and relaxation for me. No matter what your brothers try to do of making it as comfortable as you possibly can. It's not like home cooked meal. So it's 12 o'clock a.m. Almost. I could be in a hotel. I'll say I have my own family, and y'all could be out doing something halal. It is full and packed. All of these young brothers, mashallah, this is a beautiful, and I'm going to say a rare thing. And it means a lot to me. You're sitting here, you're waiting, you're patient, and I'm going to try my best not to make it a waste of your time, but in the night time, alright? So first and foremost, may Allah bless you all. May Allah keep you firm on the path. When we were finishing the award ceremony, young brother came up to me. He was taller than me, and he said, Sheikh Mufti. I said, nah. He says, can I get a picture? I said, sure, no problem. And before we took the picture, he pulled out his phone. And he showed me his phone. And in his phone was a picture when he was a young, small little boy at an award ceremony. I think it was Carmel, some years back. And you look at him now, way up there, and he was a little, small, young guy holding up the certificate. And boy, that broke my heart. And it made me say, subhanallah, man, it hasn't been that long, but it's been some years. He was that and then, now he's this now. On the same thing, doing the same thing, still in the masjid, still trying to seek knowledge. And he remembered, shit, he took the picture when I was a little boy, and I'm a grown man, take another picture with me. So I hope that inshallah this will be the same for all of you guys. Alright, that you remain consistent, you remain positive, alright, you remain inshallah upon doing that which is best for you with regards to your deen and with regards to your dunya. Alright, no more flattering. I'm not going to flatter you anymore. No more pleasant, sweet words. Now let's get down to the nitty gritty, right? Let's roll up our sleeves, as they told me before I came in there. He said, don't take it easy on these guys. Let loose on them, one brother said. Let loose on them. You called up that, a third brother said, take the safety off. Take the safety off. Don't take it easy on these guys. So inshallah ta'ala, the majority of what I want to do tonight is I want to hear from you guys. You've heard enough of me. You've seen enough of me. I've talked a lot, probably too much. So I want to hear from you guys, but I do want to give you a few basic pieces of advice. And every generation is different. People say, you can be stuck in the past, or you're old. It's not 90s, it's not 2000s, it's different, etc., etc. I get it. I get it. That's different. I get it that, I'm older, you guys are younger. I understand that, but your generation is different. There are many things that you guys do that's okay, that's acceptable, that's cool. When I was alive, when I was your age, you know, that's when I mean alive, it was unthinkable. Whether it's pertaining to seeking Him, we talking about the journey, what we do now versus what we did back then. With regards to working, with regards to getting married, with regards to playing sports, with regards to stop wearing skinny jeans, tight jeans. Back when I was your age, you wore tight jeans, you was automatically considered gay. Your clothes had to be extra loose. Anything bit snug, khalas, you was automatically whatever. That was the rule. And I get it, that it's a different generation, it's a different time, different fashion, different trend, no problem. But I'm just trying to make a point is that there are things that separate us. There are things that separate us. How you look at stuff is different how I looked at it when I was your age. Things are different. But certain things that we can all agree on. And that is a lot of stuff that young people do today, it ain't cool. It's not cool, it's not alright. And there's no polite or pleasant way of putting it. A lot of young people today be tripping. And be bugging out, be wilding out. Especially on social media. It's one thing if you have a problem, if you got an issue. It's one thing if you have a shortcoming, because I have problems. I have issues. I have shortcomings. Some of which you may see, some of which you may know. And most, alhamdulillah, has hidden from your eyes. And I ask to remain that way. Alright? The famous dua that is reported from Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Alright? So at the end of the day, and also the Hadith Qudsi, Allah says, أَنَا سَتَرْتَ عَلَيْكَ فِي الدُّنْيَا. He says that in the worldly life, I hid those sins from the people. And of course, I'm going to forgive you of them today, when Allah Azza wa Jalla will seclude Himself with His believing slave. The believing slave with Allah, nobody else. And Allah will ask him, do you remember this sin? Do you remember that sin? Do you remember that sin? Alright? So we all have shortcomings. And we all have flaws. But when we involve social media in those flaws, in those problems, in those shortcomings, something's seriously wrong. And from those problems and those issues that we have on social media is slavery. Slavery. Alright, now most of you young brothers probably coming from Somalia, you know, your family roots, most of you probably born here, maybe third generation. Perhaps a few of you guys lived there and came here. So your background is a little different than my background, okay, with regards to slavery and some of the horrors and some of the terrors and some of the problems to this very day of the history of slavery in this country and in other parts of the world too. So one of the worst things that a black American is going to want to be involved in and associated with and read about and watch is slavery. And one of the biggest problems with social media is slavery. Social media, even if it's not necessarily haram stuff, oftentimes makes you a slave. And it places manacles on your wrists, chains and bars on your feet, and whip and lashes on your back. It controls you, forces you, how you think, how you feel, how you dress, how you eat, how you walk, how you talk. Your religion, your understanding of your religion, who you love, who you hate, who's a deviant, who's not a deviant, who you take knowledge from. That's a lot of control that you give to social media, let alone the haram stuff, in which once you start, you can't stop. Once you start, it keeps pulling you deeper and darker and further down the road, and the more difficult and painful it becomes to remove yourself therefrom. And the more of it that you need, and it has to be more graphic and more and greater and more vicious. And all that is from the horror of social media that creates slaves. It controls people. And you don't have control over yourself anymore. Whether that's watching haram things, listening to haram things, or whether it's somebody telling you how to dress. What's cool, what's not cool. What's in, what's not in. Whatever you call it, drip, whatever word or term that the young people use. So what I'm saying is be careful of someone or anything or anybody controlling you and turning you into a slave, except for the slavery of Islam, being a slave of Ar-Rahman. And we mentioned in the khutbah yesterday that Hassan al-Basri, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, Ya ibn Adam, إنك تغدو وتروح في طلب الأرباح فليكن همك نفسك فإنك لن تربح مثلها أبدا. He says, oh son of Adam, you live your life running a rat race, a hamster wheel. seeking money, making money, spending money, saving money, losing money. Trying to get money. فَلْيَكُنْ هَمُّكَ نَفْسَكَ. But your biggest and greatest worry should be yourself, your soul, your own personal well-being, your health, your life. فَإِنَّكَ لَن تَرْبَحَ مِثْلَ هَذَا. Because there's nothing that's more valuable, that's more precious than your life and your soul. Think about the power that you give other people over you by telling you what to do, what to think, and how to feel. And that's a fact. You hear a certain type of music, it makes you feel a certain type of way. You see a certain image or picture, it makes you feel a certain type of way. You see a shoe, glasses, it's not even that decent. It's not even that attractive, but just because he wears it, class, I gotta get it, I gotta buy it, I gotta wear it. Alright? So I come from a place in which there's so many young men that have lost their lives for stupid, silly stuff. Drugs, a woman, a block, a project, an argument, a fight, a watch, a chain, a car. You lose your life, whether that's 7 bullets to your chest, your torso, ripping through your flesh, or your face. You know, people got shot, killed, bullets to their face. People still living with bullets in their body and their heads. Real life stuff. Not no fake rap video. Real life stuff. Real people shot several times, killed. Point blank in the street. Or you waste your life by being behind bars for the rest of your life. And which also gives someone power over you. You're a slave. They tell you when to wash up, when to eat, when to use the bathroom, how to use the bathroom. In front of who you can use the bathroom. You can pray Jumu'ah, you can't pray Jumu'ah. Your freedom, your life, your mind, your soul. You can never lose a thing more valuable than that. So just think about that. Smoking weed, drinking alcohol, watching internet pornography. Just think about that, going to the club, dancing, singing, selling drugs, getting caught up in gang violence, stupid stuff. Why are we even fighting? You don't even know why. So just think about your life, your soul, your body, and your health. Alright? And this is one of the biggest differences that I see between this generation and the previous generation. There's always people killing, there's always people getting killed, there's always people doing haram stuff, but the young people today, many of them, not all of them, it's just like just don't care about anything or nothing. That's it. My phone, Wi-Fi, and that's it. Their lives, their souls is just cheaper than a bottle of water, a cheap bottle of water, not Evian or Fiji or some type of, Hawaii, Icelandic type of, volcanic water. I'm talking about cheap, no frills water. Sam's Club, Walmart, whatever the case may be. And that's the attitude that many young brothers have. They don't care about nothing. They don't want nothing. They're not about nothing. As if their soul, their nafs, their body, that's also manifested in tattoos. You all tatted up. Tattoos on your face. How you get a normal job? What the heck you gonna do? Who will hire you with tattoos all over your face? This is a serious question. Who will hire you? Where you gonna work? How you gonna make money for the rest of your life? That's gonna fade out. That's gonna be played out. You can't do that. So, my advice is don't give anyone or anything that power over you in which they turn you into a slave, in which you start hoping for people like you hope for Allah. You start fearing people like you fear Allah. You put your trust and your reliance in a person like you would with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course, the human being, I can tell you firsthand, when those bullets whiz past you, it ain't no, I'm going to be shooting back. He's going to run. Trust me, he's going to run. When the bullets whiz past you, you know why I call it heat? Because the bullet is so hot. But where does the bullet get its heat from? The bullet is not hot when you load into the magazine or if it's an old revolver. It's hot because it's on what? It's traveling through the air so quickly. Is that the friction of its speed cutting through the air turns the lead bullet into what? Burning hot. So just imagine that, zipping past you, somebody shooting at you. Your man, I got your back, I'm with you, this and that. When the bullets start flying, he ain't got your back. He gonna jump, run. When the lawyers, when the prosecutors say, they put it on a piece of paper, this is what you're looking at. He ain't gonna say the word, that's what you're looking at. Those are the numbers that you're looking at. It could be more, that's what you're looking at. What you think he gonna do? You think he will say, I don't know nothing, I ain't see nothing, I ain't rag, I ain't no rag. He gonna say, excuse me, is this microphone on? Yes. He gonna snitch. He gonna snitch. Well, Allah, we've seen it too many times. I've been to jails before, visiting, giving khutbahs, doing classes, juvenile jails, full of young Muslims. And most of them were in that jail because they were following somebody else and listening to somebody else, and they gave somebody else power over them that they weren't supposed to give. So that's my advice, is to be a slave of Ar-Rahman. That includes love. Don't love no one and nothing else like you love Allah. That includes fear. Don't fear no one or nothing or nobody like you are supposed to fear Allah. That includes hope. You look forward to such and such seeing me, recognizing me, being accepted. That's why young people get caught up in stupid stuff, because they want to be accepted. They have hope in their hearts that they're not supposed to have from no one but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They put their trust in people that they're not supposed to put in anyone besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The risk, sustenance, your money, your food, your drink. You don't have to do legal stuff. Or you're going to seek knowledge. You're going to starve if you seek knowledge. If you be an imam, you're not going to have money your parents tell you. You have to get the engineering degree. You got to be a doctor. Kayf ta'ish. Kayf tatazawwaj. You're going to be faqir. What did he say? You just want to seek hadith? Then have black titles of poverty. These things, love, fear, trust, reliance, expecting to eat, to drink, they're only for who? Allah Azza wa Jalla. So that's my advice with regards to social media, with regards to being young, is never ever to forget that you're a slave of Allah. You're not a slave of money, you're not a slave of sex, you're not a slave of drugs, alcohol, you're not a slave of sports. There's another big problem. Love, that's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So be mindful, guys. Be careful. And don't forget those words. You'll never lose something more valuable than your own self. And you'll never gain the protection of a thing and the value of a thing greater than your own self. And anybody, woman, man, clique, gang, squad, team, whatever you is, that's threatening your freedom, wallahi, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Someone that's threatening your health and your well-being, wallahi, it's not worth it. Somebody, something, some act is threatening your iman. You'll lose your Islam out here. You'll lose your soul. Wallahi, it's not worth it. So, you're under social pressure, peer pressure, you have temptations, you have desires, or you have issues. Some people smoke drugs because they're depressed. It's a fact. And that's oftentimes the justification of many people who push drugs. We're not talking about those small, we're talking about people who supply continents. In South America, Colombia, Bolivia, Peru, they'll tell you, I have no regrets for shipping tons and kilos of cocaine. I have no regrets. Forget the money, forget what it brings me. I'm employing my people. They have no jobs here. Read about Pablo Escobar, read about Noriega, read about them. They'll tell you that. I'm looking out for my people. And some of them will say that drugs are an escape for people that have miserable lives of suffering. That's our way of giving them an escape from reality. Alright? I'm not here to talk about is that right or wrong, but I'm trying to make a point here. I'm trying to make a point, guys. Is that something that you become a slave for or of? It's not worth it. So some people, they smoke drugs, they get high, you know what I'm saying? Oftentimes, not because it feels good, but because they're trying to get away from what feels bad. And Allah Azza wa Jalla, He mentions this in the Quran. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ مُقِيمٌ وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ وَاصِبٌ. Allah talks about how they will have عَذَاب دَائِم, a punishment which is perpetual. And Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he comments on that ayah, يُرِيدُونَ أَن يَخْرُجُوا مِنَ النَّارِ وَمَا هُمْ بِخَارِجِينَ مِنْهَا وَلَهُمْ كَمِّنْ عَذَابٌ مُقِيمٌ. Surah Ma'idah. He mentions that the kuffar, non-Muslims, the mushrikun, one of the reasons why they get so high, why they smoke, why they drink, why they do drugs, why they party so much, not because it feels good or tastes good, but because they're trying to escape that perpetual punishment that they're in, of sadness, of grief. This happened to me when I was younger. My father wasn't there. My team lost, etc., etc. So we try to drink away the pain. So whatever your reason is of doing bad stuff, crazy stuff, know for sure that the reason will fade and the pain and the consequence will remain. Know that for sure. And many of the Salaf, they will say this. Don't be discouraged to do a good deed because that the bitterness is there, but the sweetness isn't there yet. And don't rush into a sin or a mistake because the sweetness is there, but the bitterness is what? You ain't seen it yet. It's going to come later. Laugh now, not later. So just that's my words of advice, young men, is that whatever you're going through that's pushing you to do something that you're not supposed to become a slave of other than the law, it's not worth it. Pain will go away. Pleasure, temptations, wallahi, it will go away, they'll fade. But a poor decision, and the consequence of a poor decision, not on a string of poor decisions, wallahi, will haunt you for the rest of your life. It'll haunt you for the rest of your life. You want to get out of it, you want to do, it'll haunt you. So make the right decisions, be smart, be wise, and don't give no one the key to your heart. Don't give no one the key to your mind. Don't become a slave of any substance. No woman, no matter how beautiful she is, it's not worth it. You're losing yourself for a woman, you're losing your honor, your dignity, your deen. So I'm in the night time, just a few words of advice. I don't want to give you no long, drawn out lecture. You've heard enough of them. I'm not here to talk down to you, to bark at you, to scream at you, to holler at you. All of these things I'm telling you from my own experience. Be a slave of a Rahman, and don't be a slave of anything or anyone else. In all those ways. So you guys want to add something to it, mention something from your own personal experience, ask a question about it, you're more than free to do so. Inshallah ta'ala, for us, the specific things that we need to or we want to address. Does that more clear? Don't be shy, man. نفتح نسألهم نختبرهم شوف الصادق من الكاذب الغرف من السمين طيب, so what's the biggest problem that you face right now here in Minnesota? What you think? Yeah, you guys, what's the biggest problem? Drugs. Like what drugs? Fentanyl. Perks. Alright, what else? How many Muslim brothers, Somali, whatever you know, is on perks or fentanyl? Yeah. A couple old friends. Anybody else? A little bit or a lot? A lot. Widespread, huh? Pandemic.
Go to the cemetery. Ask them how many kids are buried in the last 25. They'll say about mine.
Fentanyl, huh? That's deep. Fentanyl was, they mentioned that in the case, if not correct, there were some other drugs. The defense, right, of the police officer that was convicted for George Floyd's death. And that shows you the power of drugs, how deep it is. And when I was watching the thing, he almost barely won in his defense. And he said, you know, the police officer didn't kill him. He didn't die because his knee was on his neck. He died because he was what? Off of these pills. His heart was already racing and soaring by the time the cops even got there. You get the point I'm trying to make, okay, of the danger of that stuff. And it also turns you into a slave. Even, subhanAllah, you talk about the body, your heart doesn't have control over its own pumping and beating anymore. Think about that. Your brain is not thinking properly. The pill is what? In control of you. That's sick, right? Who you going to give that much power and control over you? For the high doesn't feel that good? Is the pain that much? Is it worth it? Is the peer pressure that strong? And would you give a pill that control over you? And in any second, you OD, you what? Collapse. So, I mean, that's a problem. Drugs, when I was growing up, drugs were a big problem. Of course, pills, I don't think were as bad as they are now. It's you know, it was more like other types of drugs. I was born in '84. I was a young kid when the crack attack was, the crack pandemic. And if you read history about America, you know about what was going on in the 80s. And how many people to this day are living in the aftermath of that major crack pandemic. Alright? Of course, people always been smoking heroin, shooting up, spoons, needles, belt straps, you know, that's dope fiend, tracks, whatever, that's, you know, as old as, you know, as they say. And of course, you know, weed was a big thing when I was growing up, when I was in school, people smoking weed, getting high, drinking, or whatever, but this pill thing is a whole different level. And most people dying from some bad crack, a bad batch, they would say back in the day. Forget my terminology. A bad batch. And some drug dealers, some people who sold crack, obviously you couldn't crack from cocaine, you add other things to it. And some people, they would intentionally put harmful ingredients in their crack. Or sometimes it would happen by accident, and the fiend would die, or dig. And unfortunately, the next morning, there'll be a line, 3 blocks long, in front of that drug spot. Fulan died? Yeah. Alright, but it's still not the same as what? The pills and stuff. That's a whole different chemical level. Alright, let alone the fact that it's okay to take pills because it's not crack, right? It's just what? It's just a pill. It's medicine, right? It's different. Mindset. And the same applies to other problems that many young Muslims are addicted to. The reason why they don't get help, the reason why they don't, get because it's not as bad. So be mindful. That's a major trick of shaitan with regards to those pills, right? And not even talking about from an Islamic standpoint, but just, like I said, taking pills, you just being high all day, every day. What can you achieve in life? What can you do? How are you even gonna have fun? And you're in that mindset. You get what I'm trying to say? You can't do nothing successful in the dunya under that influence. So that's definitely food for thought. All right, what else? What else we got?
We have brothers getting killed, killing each other over very shit tactics. These are really not important. We have brothers. One brother got killed over a gas pump. One brother spotted mine. One brother got cut him off. If you like brother so angry that you step on his shoes, you'll shoot.
Well, coming from Philadelphia, unfortunately, I'm no stranger to that. Like I said, I had many family members shot, killed, murdered, several. Muslim and non-Muslim alike, several. Many friends. I went to high school with Muslim brothers shot, killed, dead in the street. And the Prophet ﷺ, he tells us that towards the end of time, he says, وَيَكْثُرُ الْهَرْجِ يَكْثُرُ الْقَتْلِ. Alright, and al-harj being al-qatl. And people, the hadith states that on the Day of Judgment, he will carry the head of the murder. And the head will speak. And the head will ask Allah, why did this man take my life? And from the meanings and manifestations of al-harj is that the qatil doesn't know why he's killing. And the one who was killed has no idea why he lost his life. It was something simple, something easy. And murder, gun violence is a big problem, even for non-Muslims. It's a huge problem. And one of the reasons why gun violence is such a bad thing is that it's a faucet. And you take the faucet and you literally use a sledgehammer and you knock off the handle. In which the water, you can't turn it off. You can't stop it. Right? There's no closing the faucet, closing the sink. It's knocked off. The water's just going to keep pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring. You shot my cousin, so next thing you know, we're going to shoot you. Then obviously your people, whatever, they're going to come back, seek revenge against me. I ain't forgot. What you mean forgive them? Nah, I ain't forgetting nothing. You are this, you are blah, 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 you are such and such. We're going to go do what we got to do. And it never, ever stops. Tribal warfare, right? Don't stop. And somebody gotta say enough is enough. Keep killing each other. Obviously, that's a problem for a Muslim. One of the worst sins. That's not even an issue of it. We gotta discuss that. Woman cut to the woman and muta'amidan. Alright, so the most severe Quranic verses were sent down pertaining to Muslims killing Muslims. And the Prophet ﷺ, he tells us in HadithDisciple, he says, لا ترجعوا بعدي كفارا يضرب بعضهم رقاب بعض. لا ترجعوا بعدي ايش؟ عصاة ايش قال؟ كفارا. He says, don't go back to being kuffar after I leave you, striking each other's necks. In other words, for a Muslim to draw his sword and to aim it and swing it at his brother's neck he's either a kafir or he's doing the acts of what? Of a kafir. The Prophet did not say, do not become sinners after me. لا ترجعوا بعدي عاصين. لا ترجعوا بعدي فاسقين. قال لا ترجعوا بعدي كفارا. So a Muslim killing another Muslim, that's a huge iman problem, period. We don't have to put that on the table to discuss. But in the social aspect, murder is going to turn your society upside down. And why did you kill him? Because of some money? You shot him because of a girl? He said something to a girl? He touched your girl? He disrespected you? No problem. All right, cool. So you shoot him, you kill him, no problem. You cut him down. Now you're behind bars for the rest of your life. What would you think your girl did? It's a serious question. You think she's faithful? You got life. 20 years, 30 years, 15 years, whatever state, however you in, whatever manslaughter, honestly, do you think she's going to be faithful to you? So what's the purpose? You shot somebody over a girl, that girl, she's not even worth it. You shot somebody over some money, over some drugs, or he disrespected me, or he wore the wrong color, or whatever nonsense. What do you think is going to be when you're behind bars for the rest of your life? What type of honor you think you will have then? You keeping it real, and the rest of your life you living like an animal, somebody caging you. All right, I don't know how much you guys know about prison. I know a lot of brothers that were in prison. I know people that did years, several years, federal bids, real bids. And all of them will tell you it's not a place that you want to go. It's not a place that you want to be in. It's not cool, it's not fun, it's not tough, none of that stuff. And all of the tough guys, people like playing, cowboys and Indians with guns, shooting, acting tough. When you upstate, it ain't no what? Ain't no guns upstate. So if you can't fight, if you ain't tough, I don't know what you're gonna do when you go there. It's a problem. So murder, killing people, recklessly, senselessly, using guns, playing with guns like toys, watching, thinking that you're this, thinking that you're him, it's a major problem in society. And it has the power to destroy a city, a town, a village, let alone a country. And set the country into turmoil. So you guys gotta make that decision. You wanna be a this, or you wanna be a that? You wanna have your freedom, or you wanna, lose your freedom? You guys gotta make that decision. That's all I can say about that. What else? Fuck that.
Another thing that's been very prevalent is feminization of the men.
Feminization of men.
And how it's, being as a youth is considered being a good man, and being somebody that's not a youth is considered toxic masculinity. So speaking on that.
Well, first of all, feminization of men. We're not living in the caveman days. Nobody is walking around a big stick hitting an animal upside the head. All right? I like to wear tight clothes. What's the big deal? I like to have earrings in my ears and have makeup and that. Okay, what's the big deal? It's feminine to you, it ain't feminine to me. My girl, she in charge, she do this, she pay. If that's your mindset, then it's okay to act like a girl, to look like a girl, to dress like a girl, to be all watery and soft. There's no advice I can give to you. If that's how you look at life, and what you think to be masculine, if you think to carry yourself like a gentleman is outdated and played out and corny and weak and this and that, there's nothing I can say to you. And I'm trying to use the reverse role. That's what many people say when you say that to them. We ain't living in those days. Ain't nobody walking around, Barney, Rubble, Flintstone. What are you talking about? Masculine. Right or wrong? She works, she pay the bills. Why I gotta work? Why I gotta do that? We're not living in those times. We live in the West. We're not living in an Islamic country. We're not living in no Islamic society. What's the big deal, right? If that's how you look at life and that's how you see things, it's okay to carry yourself like that. That's your problem. But just know for sure you're not keeping it real with yourself. Well, they said that could move that. Male is not like female on any level. No matter how hard people try, no matter what they say is natural, it's normal, it's okay, there's no such thing as gender roles. That's not Islam, that's just culture. A man is not supposed to be like a woman is not supposed to be like a man. So something's wrong, something's off. Alright, and if these things were so normal, so natural, why is the agenda so strong? Why do you have to push it and force it upon people if it's normal for a man to be a little, feminine, a little girly? Why is so much money spent on the opposite? Why do you gotta come out the closet if it's what? If it's the fitna, why are you coming out of the closet? Why are you hiding? Alright, so you guys gotta realize that Allah Azza wa Jalla, He made a man and He made a woman, and he gave each of them their own specific qualities and characteristics. Some things are shared, yeah. There's a such thing as unisex in Islam. There's a such thing as unisex. Some things are for both men and women. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's certain times which you may have to cross over to another role. Your wife is in there, you gotta rock the baby to sleep. A woman, she's divorced, or her husband gets locked up or shot, and unfortunately she has to be the man of the household. But that's another way of turning the society upside down. A woman, no matter how hard she tries, she cannot raise a household of children by herself, let alone boys. The boys, they're not going to turn out the right way. A man, no matter how hard you try, I don't want to get remarried, blah, 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 you can't raise your children by yourself. Both sexes are needed. That's a fact. So the feminization or the emasculation of men is reality in movies, in music, hair products, hairstyles, okay? And this can be manifested in many, 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 many ways. From the shoes we wear, the underwear that you wear, someone's name on your underwear. Stop, that's reality. Most of these different designers and people, they totally go on themselves. And oftentimes, they catch up and they'll make a mistake, they'll slip. And they'll say, I never designed my clothes for these type of people to wear. Then you're gonna boycott them, you're gonna burn a shirt. You're not losing money, you already bought the shirt, fool. You bought the shirt already, he made his money, what's he at? You're not hurting him by burning the shirt, oh boy, he made his money already. Alright, so the concept of every now and then these different designers, they'll tell you, I never made my clothes for this race. Or I never made my clothes just for straight heterosexual men. Who told you that? I never said it was just for, I made it for those people too. So there are many problems with regards to men being turned into women, men being watered down through styles, through movies, through music, politics, through culture. And the best way is balance, right? There's an extremism on both sides, all right? So, Islam, of course, has already given us that solution with regards to how a man should be. A man should be gentle. A man should be kind. It's not being a tough, macho, masculine man, just being a brute unnecessarily. The Prophet wasn't like that. He was kind, he was soft, he was easygoing, he was an agreeable person, a reasonable person. He was tender, kind-hearted to the people. But at the same time, when he had to be rough and tough, when he had to be brave and courageous, when he had to be totally masculine, that's how he was, on balance. No doubt, we're not living in those times. You're out in the forest, hunting something, bringing it back on your shoulder. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that it's okay for you to lose your identity, and that goes back to nafs. You lose your manhood, you can't get it back. You become emasculated, it's khalas. What are you going to do to get it back? You get what I'm trying to say? So that's my advice with regards to that, is to beware. And most of those movies, those songs, most of those designer brand names, clothes, shoes, haircuts, jewelry, most of that stuff a Muslim is not supposed to be enjoying, period. Don't make any sense, period. And Allah knows best. That's what I'll say about that. Fadal, Habibi.
We got another problem in the ship. Raise your hand if you're married.
1, 2, 3.
I'm married.
How we solve that?
I'm married to my books though.
Problems not being married. Oh man.
Scared, being scared. The exact
There's a lot of people in this masjid. Well, I'll say this. To be honest, from my experiences, not the only people, I don't believe in blaming one person for all problems. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in blaming one race for every problem. I don't believe in that. A wife blaming her husband for all the problems in her life. Husband blaming his wife for all his problems, his ex-wife. I don't believe in none of that. There's no one person responsible for everything. You're responsible for yourself. But I would say the people who play the biggest, greatest role in young men and women not being married, oftentimes the parents. If you ask me. Oftentimes the parents are making it extremely difficult, nearly impossible for young people to get married. They place conditions on you that they didn't have to follow when they got married. They place conditions on you, things that are totally unrealistic. You get married if you do this, if you do that, if you do that, you finish this, you graduate from this, you bring this in, you buy this, etc. You get married when you're 30, 35. That's basically half your life. Half your life is gone. You graduate from school, you go to graduates, you buy a house, you buy a boat, you buy 2 cars, you have 3 garages, you do this, you save this, you buy this, prepare this, you get this, then I'll let you get married. Right or wrong? That's a huge problem. But the parents, they aren't the only ones to blame. Oftentimes, many youth, they don't want to get married, and that goes back to the problem of youth not wanting to do nothing. Sit in my room, on my phone, don't wash up, don't brush my teeth, don't eat, snacks, junk, trash, all day, every day. I'm not going outside, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not doing nothing, I'm just wallowing in mud. Who are you going to get married to? Who going to marry off to your daughter? You don't take a shower, you don't wash up, you don't brush your teeth. When last time you comb your hair or brush your hair, whatever hairstyle you got, whatever type of hairstyle you got, when's the last time? Do you even care about yourself, respect yourself? Or some young brothers, they say, oh, I want to get married, but the father asking for too much money, they gold diggers, they tripping this and that. There are gold diggers out there. I know many. And there are many fathers, unfortunately, who sell their daughters. An auction block. The highest bidder gets my daughter. That's a fact. And that's extremely unfortunate. But oftentimes, a father is not a gold digger. He's not out for material money, but I don't want my daughter coming back 2 weeks later saying, Abby, we don't have no food in the house. Abby, for the last 2 days, we had peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch, breakfast, and dinner. Well, like, he came home wearing these shoes, these glasses, this watch, this car. We have no food in the cabinet. Or it's wintertime, the heat is off. Or summertime, there's no AC. He says, just use your fan, be quiet, be patient. I want somebody that's going to take care of my daughter. That's my little small baby girl. I raised her. She was in my lap. I fed her. I taught her. I gave her everything. I spent all that time with her. I'm not going to give her some irresponsible loser halfway that don't care about nothing. That don't want nothing. He's not aiming for anything. Deen or dunya. You student knowledge. You studying. You going to Egypt. You memorizing? No. All right, no problem. Cool. Going to college here, community college, you getting this degree? No. You're an athlete, you're trying to get a scholarship in sports? No. You're working at the barbershop, that's your skill? You say what? No, you're not doing nothing. So who are you expecting to marry off to their daughter? So oftentimes you gotta blame yourself for these problems. And marriage, of course, is not easy. I'm not gonna sit and act like it is. It's not easy. There's problems in marriage. You see your own parents going through stuff, but no doubt, your chance of survival being married is higher than you being single. That's a fact. There's certain sins that you can't do just by being married. There's certain laziness that you can't have just because you're married. I don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like going to work. I want to do this how I'm at. Unfortunately, my nurse is calling to it. But due to the fact that you got a life, you have children, you have bills, you have responsibilities, it prevents you and protects you from that. So marriage, I would say my advice, it brings the best out of a young man. Brings the best out of you. Marriage, inshallah, brings the best out of a young woman. Not being married out of fear, out of anxiety, or because of culture or money or whatever the case may be, it doesn't help you grow. But guys, we have a problem from the parents, and we have a problem from the young teenage brothers. I have many students, many of them, they're not married. I ask them, what are you doing? You went overseas yet? No. You get a success in the dunya? No, you're just doing nothing. So I don't know. I don't have that answer. I don't have that answer why many teenage brothers and sisters are just, excuse my language, just losers. They want to do nothing. They want to sit around, play, laugh, joke all day. Obnoxious. You go out 5 minutes, 10 minutes, laugh, joke, laugh, that's it. Fun, joke, that's it. My life surrounds it in what? It's cell phone, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever the case may be. You guys got to get it together, man. It's not all right. It's not cool to be a loser. Boy, it's not. It's not cool to just waste your life doing nothing, being about nothing. And don't you realize that those video games that you play, the sneakers that you buy, those basketball players that you look up to and that you worship and idolize, those rappers and singers that you listen to and spend all your money downloading your music, etc., 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 etc. Don't you realize that the programmers behind that game are not sitting on the sofa eating, laughing? Those programmers are nerds and geeks. Those programmers got thick glasses on their eyes. The people who made the game, they're not cool and hip. They ain't got no style or swag or whatever you want to call it that you claim it. Do you realize that? The people that you worship, athletes, musicians, musicians or whatever the case, actors, they're breaking their backs, working, practicing. You know how hard it is to make one song? The most talented rapper or singer, you know how many times you gotta rehearse, practice, the engineer, the student says, say it again. Well, you do it one more time. And do it the third time, the fourth time. Wait, let me turn this up, let me turn this down. Do you know how hard it is to make a video? Do you know, you have any clue? So the point that I'm trying to make is the things that keep our youth inactive and turn many of our beautiful Muslim youth into losers or half-wits or whatever you want to call them, whatever word or term you want to call them, couch potatoes, whatever. You looking up to someone who's totally opposite than you. That's crazy. The reason behind you wasting your life is because someone else didn't waste their life. Those NBA players, they're not sitting around drinking, eating, laughing. They're out there working, worshiping sports. And you spend your life watching, clicking, so much, subscribing, commenting, etc. Scholars is another issue. The fitna of this sheikh, this brother, this student, fulan. Those mashayikh that you idolize, that you follow, that you waste your life in talking about people, he, in front of his name is a what? Alif Dal, Ustad Doctor. He got his PhD. What you got? He's teaching. He's set for life. He was rich before he started studying. His family owned land, etc., etc. What you have? You're wasting your time following someone that hasn't wasted their time. And if you ask me, that's just, an ajab naikun. That's the craziest thing. So be mindful of that. And this, once again, ain't got nothing to do with the religious aspect. We're talking about from a worldly aspect. You're wasting your life following someone that's working hard. That makes sense? It makes no sense. So just let that sit on your brains, God knows best.
Another thing I would say is not just saying your brothers aren't getting married. That's a part of the issue. The other half of that issue is brothers and sisters who do get married is oftentimes we find that they get divorced within the first 5 years. And that's a large majority of them.
Quick divorces?
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the reasons behind quick divorces goes back to the parents. Has the father prepared his son for marriage? Has the father prepared, or the mother had to prepare the daughter for marriage? Marriage just isn't, okay, you get to have sex and it's not haram, that's it. Which many young people may think. They want to get married, that's it. I get to, follow my desires without a sin. It's much more than that. It's much more than that. So oftentimes parents, there's no doubt, they fail to prepare their children for marriage. If your son is 16, 17, 18, and you teach them the basics of manhood, you felt them as a father. You felt them. I'm sorry. It's too old to mold. You can't mold the clay when it's dry, right? The cement has to be wet for you to lay it out and smooth it out. It can't be half, right or wrong. Paint, and the list goes on and on and on. So oftentimes the parents, unfortunately, they fail their children in preparing them for marriage. Look, son, marriage is not about being perfect. But certain habits of yours, you gotta stop. You gotta do this how you treat a lady. This, you gotta take a shower, wash up. Many people, they don't wash up. Basic hygiene. Your feet stink in the masjid. It's a reality. Feet stink. How long do you think she wants to stay around you? You smell like a garbage truck. Many women, many young sisters, they're not taught the proper hygiene, the proper way, how to conduct yourself. Or some brothers, perfect example, come to intimacy. A man being with his wife. You try to talk to him, I'm very simple, stop laughing and joking and chuckling. What's funny? What's funny? What's funny? And many women, they complain about that. That's one of the reasons why many people get divorced. You don't know what he's doing in the bedroom. He can't please me, seriously. Or instead of coming to me and sleeping with me, he's in front of the computer, going crazy. It's a big issue. Wallahi, I'm telling you from the driver's seat, there's a big problem, man. So oftentimes, one of the reasons why people get divorced, I think, is immaturity. Immaturity. I'm telling you. And it's hard to be young. You ain't saying you gotta be the old man. You can't laugh, you can't have. I'm not saying that. But it's certain things when you're 19, 20, you're supposed to be mature enough to handle. And if you haven't been taught that, then somebody as a teacher has failed you. Secondly is, another major reason behind divorce within the first couple of years. In 5 years, that's way too long. 5 years is a long time.
So within the first 5 years.
No, well, first year, 2 years, 6 months, whatever. 5 years, even for you to say that is too much of a stretch. Lack of patience. People being hasty. Everything is not perfect. You think your mother and father never got into an argument? You think they never went through problems? You don't think your father never did something wrong, but they still together, right? They made it work. They sacrificed. They were patient. So, like I said, when somebody asked me if I could give one thing to my son, and to make sure that he implemented it, was sabr. Thick skin, patience. Marriage is not easy. You don't happen overnight. You gotta build a relationship. And when you build something, you gotta do what? You gotta maintain it. Everything that you buy, worldly possession, the more expensive it is, it comes with the owner's name. They tell you how to care for your watch, how to care for your phone. And most people, when they buy a brand new phone, do they read it or do they listen to that? It tells you don't overcharge it, right? Don't sit it in the sun. Don't put this. Don't clean it with this type of cloth. Use cold water with this type of shirt. Most people just throw it in the hot water, throw it in the dryer. So when you get something, you buy something, you get married, it takes patience. But you gotta maintain the marriage, let alone allow it to grow. And all of that stuff is hard. It's not easy. It's hard for people that is 30, 40, 50, let alone 18, 19. So preparation before marriage, maturity, all right? And last but not least, the grass is not greener on the other side, as they say. You get a divorce, it's not solving the problem. It's not fixing the problem. Oftentimes you're just running from one problem to the next. And most of the time, the reason why you get divorced is silly, stupid stuff. Like, come on, man, grow up. It's a real world. So the Muslim is not supposed to be like that. And age has nothing to do with it. You're supposed to have some basic maturity, basic understanding of life, how things work, right? And divorce happens, you know, we're not Christians. Divorce is not impermissible. It's not in our book, something which is abhorred. It's lawful to divorce. Sometimes it's obligatory to divorce. But whatever you do, however you do, just make sure you do it the right way. Make sure no one is forcing you or pressuring you. Another reason behind quick and easy divorces is evil in-laws. Evil in-laws.
Yeah, I do wanna.
Huh?
I do wanna.
Yeah, it died. I got the charger too, but bismillah. Cool. At the end of the day, oftentimes, be real, a mother is jealous of the son's daughter. And wallahi, if I had $1 for every time I dealt with this, I would be very wealthy. The mother is jealous. She manipulates her son. She causes problems. You stole my son from me. You're taking my son from me. It's a great reality. The mother, she comes over the house and just basically pushes the wife out the way. This is how he likes his food. Well, he told me to make rice and chicken. No, he wants to go. I'll cook for him his entire life. It's my son. You be quiet. Shut up. You don't know. You're too young. You can't cook it the right way. Sound familiar or not? And the problem is with who? Of course, the mother's wrong. But the problem oftentimes is with the husband. And the husband, he feels trapped. What am I going to do? It's my mom, it's my wife. Who do you love more? The mother says, you love her more than me? You love this such and such more than me? I'm your mother, boy. I gave you birth. I'm always going to be your mother. She's not necessarily always going to be your wife. And the husband, he feels trapped, feels stuck. But you don't got to be trapped and you don't got to be stuck. There's no comparison who you love more. That's my mom, that's my wife. She gave me birth, she breastfed me, she taught me. Nothing can compare to that. Nothing. This woman, I share the same bed with me, sleep together. So there's no comparison with regards to that. She's higher than my mom, so you give everyone who deserves what they deserve. But you can't do that unless you're smart enough and mature enough. That's hard, pressure. So one of the reasons why people get divorced is because of in-laws. People being jealous, people being manipulative, people being controlling, telling you what to do. So it's not easy, but who said it was going to be easy? Seek Allah's help. And inshallah ta'ala, it can be done. And the benefits that you get out of a marriage, inshallah, will outweigh the harm, hopefully. And Allah knows best.
Since we're already talking about marriage, for the brothers who already secured a ring, they're trying to build a dynasty, championship team, I didn't 2 feet and 3 feet, and 4 feet, okay?
With regards to what? What you
Chef, what's understood ain't gotta be explained. For those who secured, I don't need this conversation, they already secured one championship ring. You know,
Now, how to build on that championship ring?
they're trying to build a team now, you feel me? So trying to be a three-team.
It's a team play.
Try to go from a player to a coach.
I mean, well, first and foremost is all teams, they're based off of a nucleus. And the nucleus is based off of the highest talent. Alright? That's number one. Number two, a dynasty winning back-to-back, or even if you don't win back-to-back, two-peat, three-peat, in the playoffs, championships, and goals, but it's dominated that part of the league for years. That's also based off of one scorching, smoking hot season, major season. And you keep trying to reach that peak, if not higher. History, this battle, the conquest of this city, of this place, it all surrounds that. This major victory. So, first and foremost is the husband is supposed to be the imam. You're supposed to be the talent. If your iman is weak, if your mind is weak, if you're a slave of a substance or a thing, what you gonna build on? Who's gonna come near you? Who's gonna rally around you? So from us to 2, 3, 4, whatever the case may be, you gotta be strong yourself. And this is one of the reasons why so many people don't go to the playoffs, and why so many people don't win a ring, let alone what? 2, 3, or 4. And this is also from Allah's hikmah. Allah knows us more than we can ever know ourselves. Allah created us, He knows how we work, how we think, how we think. He made a system. Who are we to say the system isn't good for now? The system isn't suitable. The system can't be done. Who are we to say that? And from the benefits of that system is that it brings the best out of the man. Well, many of us are scared of being the best. We don't dare to be great. So that's my understanding with regards to that. When you talk about sports culture, and there's no doubt, you gotta dare to be great. Don't you think all those great champions had doubts in their heads and in their minds? Am I really that good? Can I really do it? And the only reason why they did it is because they decided themselves, or someone pushed them and forced them and says, you gotta do it. And then, well, that wasn't that easy, that wasn't that difficult. Then what? 2, then what? Next thing you know, the dynasty. You get what I'm trying to say? So that's, y'all need marriage. Like I said this marriage brings the best out of the man. And second chip, third chip, fourth chip is also supposed to what? It's supposed to bring the best out of you. And this is one of the reasons why Allah decreed it and legislated it and made it. But where are people today? Oftentimes we don't, what Allah knows for us, we think we know better. Allah Musta'an.
And then last question regarding that, Chef. How do you sit down with the team and tell them, hey, we gotta rebuild?
Well, first and foremost is,
How do you have that?
if the players don't acknowledge the fact that you're the coach or the GM, that's a problem.
One championship night, I'm trying to get 2 or 3 or 4, so how do you have that conversation?
Well, you tell them like this. You may think you're not going to be the main player. You may think you're not going to be the star. You may think, it's taken away from your the salary cap, your money, but inshallah, in reality, it's going to help out everybody at the end of the day. You get what I'm trying to say? And no doubt, it's better to be part of a major dynasty later on and look at an individual career. That's a fact. That's a fact. And sometimes you may have to take a slice of humble pie to be a part of that what? That dynasty, let alone the fact that it's a shortage of point guards out there. It's a shortage of 2 guards. So everybody can't just be shooting them. You got sometimes other guards got to come on one team. Well, but I mean, no doubt about that. Most grown, big men, they're not even thinking about the playoffs, let alone the ring. So what can I say to the young guys? What role models do we actually have? I'm sure there are some. I'm sure many brothers know this, but in general, it's a dying breed. It's an endangered species. That realness, that manliness, like we said, men have been emasculated. That's also another major type of emasculating and feminizing a man. Is getting him to think and feel that polygamy is a bad thing, it's a dirty thing, it's an unnecessary thing, it's only necessary because of wars. You can marry a woman that's a widow, she has one leg, one arm, she's missing an eye. You can marry a woman who's 60 years old, sadaqah, yani. The Prophet ﷺ only married several women in ta'aluf bayn al-qaba'il. That's the only reason why. And that's all a part of making a man closer to. And that's not how things work. It's not how things work. So that's a long discussion.
Sure.
Allah knows best.
Speaking about that, when you said on social media nowadays there's a lack of protective jealousy, the men with the women folk.
Protective jealousy, no doubt about it. A man who's pleased with another man seeing his wife in an unbefitting manner, talking to his wife in an unbefitting manner, being around his wife in an unbefitting manner, having his wife go out and bringing back the money and paying the bills and buying the stuff and doing the stuff. If that don't rattle you, scratch you a little bit, no doubt you have been successfully emasculated. If you don't care, you don't have no type of jealousy, no anger, you don't feel no regret, no remorse with regards to a woman doing your job and more. I mean, don't go to the extreme. We're not saying that a woman can't do nothing and a woman can't go nowhere or say nothing. We're not saying that. But are you okay with some dude, your wife walking down the street and everybody's smelling her smell, looking at her charm, her beauty, talking with her, flirting with her? I mean, let's be honest, guys. I'm a man, you a man. We got the same stuff. Some of us more than others. We all got the same stuff, same mindset, same body parts. You know how you think about women. You know how the shaitan whispers to you about women, right or wrong. So what's the guarantee that that next man ain't what? No doubt. She'll look bad. Maybe she not happy at home. Why she go to work every day, go home late every night? Maybe he ain't handling his business. Maybe the championship ring ain't what?
Ain't right.
He not showing up to practice. It's a problem. So I would say, for regards to protective jealousy, from the things that you can use to combat that problem is realizing that your wife is around other men, and we all know how men think and feel. No matter what they say in the media, no matter how they try to whitewash it, oh no, you're a savage, brutal, plus come on man. We all know how things are. Just look at the media, the Me Too movement. Look how much scandal there is in New York. What just happened? They kicked him out of office. And he said, one time, he said, what? I never crossed the line with any of my employees. Another time he says, I didn't realize how the lines and the margins were so different. Which one? Which one was it? Didn't cross the line, or you crossed the line because you didn't know that was the line? Which one? How much scandal do you need to realize that men and women being together day in, day out is bound to what? It's bound to happen. So how can you allow your wife to be seen or heard or felt or smelt or touched or encountered in such an unbefitting manner and you don't feel nothing about it at the end of the day? Except that your manhood has been what? No doubt. That's a problem. So there's a balance. Many brothers, they do go extreme. That's a fact. I will be honest. Many brothers, they go extreme. They feel that al-rijal qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa means that men, just lock up a woman and that's it, throw away the key. Or you can treat your wife how you want to. You can talk to her how you want to. Say what you want to say to her. You can control every single thing in her life. Al-rijal qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa. La yani hada. Doesn't mean that. And the boss a true boss never has to remind the employees every day that he's the boss. The captain of the ship does not walk around the ship saying, I'm the captain, I'm the captain, I'm the captain, I'm the captain. He doesn't do that. He's cool, he's chill, he's easy, he smiles, he eats with the people on the ship. If and when the situation comes up, fear of immunity. If and when they're trying to be, he says, I'm the what? The captain. That's it. So many brothers, they're insecure. Many brothers, they're weak already, and they feel like to violate a woman, control her, squeeze the blood out of her, choke her to death. She can't eat nothing, you can't buy this, you can't say this, who's you going, who's this, everything, in control of everything, micromanagement. They feel that that's ghayr. And they feel that that is a general call on obviously that's a trick of shaitan. And then the other brothers that go to the extreme, the next extreme. Because when man is tripping, his wife is on the phone with my wife at 2 a.m. complaining. You understand? No, I'm not. We laying in the bed together. She gets the phone call. Oh, subhanAllah, this happened. He did this. He took my phone. He threw it out the window. He ripped my such and such. He hears the conversations, so that pushes him to the other extreme, and he lets his wife do what? Anything, everything. Because I don't want to be like him. Both of them are wrong. So balance, right? Being balanced. The more knowledge you have, the easier it is to be balanced, right? The more honest you are, the easier it is to be balanced. So that's my advice, is to be balanced with regards to protective jealousy. Your wife is not your slave, right? You're not her master. And at the same time, you are responsible for your wife, and there's no true love without some type of jealousy. There's no true love without some type of what? Jealousy. And oftentimes that jealousy can keep your marriage together. You see what I'm saying? Some people, they want to get divorced and says, dang, I'm going to end with this. I was counseling a couple once years ago. A couple was from Yemen. So they were going back and forth, you know, typical thing, whatever, this, that, blah, 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 right? So the brother was talking about he was going to divorce her, he was going to let her go, etc., etc., etc. I said, all right, no problem. So I gave him advice. I don't think you should divorce. I think you should try to fix this problem, work on this, get this counseling, get this therapy. Listen to what she's saying about you. Try your best. No, blah, 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 blah. If she takes off this, if she doesn't wear this outside, wallahi, khalas, talaq, inta. So no problem. So I asked him a question. I said, how you going to feel when you go into Salat al-Eid, Fitr al-Adha, and you see her walk into the Eid holding Brother Funayn's hand? How you going to feel? Well, I asked him a question. He says, wallahi, you know, right? Fajr became red. Steam came out of his ears. If I saw her with another man, I would do this, I would do that. Wallahi, I said, well, there you go. If you can't bear the thought of your wife being with another man, then you can't divorce her. So that sometimes that protective jealousy, and have some jealousy for your wife, is a reason behind your marriage being saved. Just think about it. You want your wife to put another man, you want another man to see what your wife look like, you want another man to be laying in the bed with your wife. So you have to have some type of protective what? Jealousy, but not extreme. Don't go extreme. That's not a strong man. Picking on a woman is not a sign of strength. And many brothers, they think that. Laysa shadidu-ish, bisur'ah. Not about how much muscle you got, how much control, meaning you're a better husband and a stronger man. La. Wallahu a'lam.
Father, in the life and times that we live in, all things and stuff like that, what is the best way to find istiqamah?
The best way to find al-istiqamah. When we were talking about that earlier, Mashiach Farouk, how to maintain it, etc. The best way to find istiqamah is to realize is that istiqamah is not found. It finds you. It's a gift from Allah. A part of it is a gift from Allah. And the other part of istiqamah or guidance or tazkiyah, whatever word you use, is what you put in it yourself, your own efforts. So of course, istiqamah is found through knowledge. Out of all of the problems that we have in our society, knowledge is the first step to curing those problems. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, he gave the Messenger of Allah some instructions to read before anything else. Before he even spoke about shirk, Allah told him, Iqra, read. You understand that? You talk about society, how to keep a society down and low and misguided, keep them ignorant. Teach them that reading and studying is whack. It's not cool. Who wants to be a nerd, right? Who wants to be whack? It is. That's the mindset. That's the tarbiyah that you get. That it's okay to be dumb and stupid as long as you're cool and funny. It's the mindset, all right? So knowledge is the foundation to everything. The more knowledge you get in the right time, the better of a chance you have towards istiqamah. After you realize that istiqamah is given by Allah. Thirdly, your friends. Friends. If you're not hanging around people with istiqamah, it's impossible for you to be mustaqim. If you're not hanging around people that are positive, people that are about something, it's impossible for you to be about something. And there are many other things as well, books and lectures written on the topic. Allah knows best. You guys got anything else? Father Mubarak, Barakallahu Feek. Fuck them. Go ahead. Fuck them.
I'm just gonna ask a question. So, we're looking for someone, and like in 2021, and also as you said, hopefully that you, how do you evaluate that someone is that something?
Fuck be that too deep. How do you know that something is that too deep? Clear. No doubt. You know someone is that too deep in many ways. First and foremost is how you come across the person. She may have been sent to you. You ever think about, or you ever talk to people who get married, and oftentimes they'll tell you the most simple, basic stories of how they met, or how they got acquainted, or how they fell in love, etc., whatever the case may be, etc. Muslim and non-Muslim alike. So that has to mean something. So if you're, mashallah, trying to be a religious person, you're serious about the deen, this woman didn't come to you by accident. She didn't come to you by what? By accident. That's number one. Number two is cross-reference, right? Don't just, many people, they say, instead of asking someone, do you listen to music, and then sit down and when you talk to her, ask her what's her favorite song. If she stuttered, she look up, you got your answer. If she said, what do you mean? I don't have no favorite song. Then you also have your what? Your answer where you say, do you listen to music? No, of course not. Music's not music, such and such. That could be right. Or she can have a whole entire what? But if you sometimes you cross-reference, catch somebody off guard, you get your what? You answer that to deen. I'm not here talking about the rhythm of music and the details of that. I'm just making an example. And of course, inshallah, you gotta have eyes and ears, right? Eyes and ears, claws and fangs, they said in ancient China. You have eyes and ears, claws and fangs. So you have intelligence, scouts, and you have muscle. Without those two, you already know what's going to happen in the forest or wherever you are. You're going to get eaten alive. So you ask people who know. And don't ever forget, the world is a very small place. And oftentimes, they give you some advice with regards to كان الولي بالسبع اشتراط صلاح الولي. مسألة فقهية مختلف فيها. Can the wali be a fasiq or not? Or the wali has to be a righteous person? Oftentimes, when a father doesn't marry his daughter off to a young man, they say, oh, he's racist, or he's this, or he's that. The father's not the most religious person. Well, he's not, he's a fasiq anyway. He can't prevent me from getting married. What does he know about this brother who's a student of knowledge, etc., etc., etc.? Sometimes there's a fa'idah from that wali al-fasiq. And that wali al-fasiq, قَدْ يَرَى مَا لَا تَرَى أَنْتَ. And he says, I've seen him before. Or some of our people that's into that lifestyle, they what? Yeah. I seen him. Yeah, he came through a couple times. Oh, yeah, he came through a couple times, looking at the picture. Yeah, he comes through. Now he came through, but what? He comes through. Do you understand? More oftentimes, someone that's not the most religious, there may be an outward open sinner. Who would know one who's hiding it more than someone who knows that? He met him, something ain't right about him. Even though he got a big beard, a big toe, something ain't right about him. So you have a sister. You introduce that sister, whatever, to your family. Let's say a hypothetical example, one of your sisters is not that religious. As an example. It may be better for you to introduce her to the sister that's not that religious. Because oftentimes her radar is different than the other sister that's religious. She may have a simple conversation, a simple thing, her phone fell on the floor the way she picked it up, something in her pocketbook, and she says, Mubarak, this one ain't for you. What do you mean? She's perfect. She knows the truth of La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, ain't Allah, Kaza, Al-Karam, Al-Karam, Salah. She studied this book, she got this ijazah. And your sister, she's Muslim, that's not that religious, she says, yo, trust me, this one ain't for you. What do you mean? I know. So oftentimes people, you gotta have what? Eyes and ears, what? Laws and fangs. Don't forget this quality of life. Eyes and ears and what? Laws and fangs. You have to have those people in your corner. They see things, they experience things that the other person doesn't. So cross-reference, cross-intelligence. You can't just ask people the normal orthodox questions for which they have their ready-made answers. Ain't Allah. Fokal Arsh. How many conditions of La ilaha illallah are there? Al-ilm wal yaqeen, Is this haram? Yes. Do you wear niqab? Yes. What are you going to do? I want to go overseas and study in Egypt and Yemen. What are you looking for in a husband? I want a husband who's a student of knowledge. I want a husband who's righteous. I want a husband who prays at night. All of those answers are ready made. So sometimes you got to be able to what? Outflanking your opponent. And oftentimes you need certain people to outflank. You get the point I'm trying to make? Hopefully you guys can appreciate this hikmah I'm trying to share with you. Because anybody can fake the funk, right? Anybody can act like they know something. Anybody can say, I studied this, I'm for that. It's a different story. Allahu Akbar.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. That was the last question. Inshallah, everyone, please remain seated. There's going to be snacks and drinks. And then afterwards, we can take photos and whatnot. And also, Allah reward you, Sheikh.
Allah bless you guys all. I appreciate you guys, waiting for me, being patient. May Allah keep you firm. Hopefully in 6 months or 3 months or next year or next couple of years, I see all you guys bigger and better. Inshallah. Some of you guys I don't want to see in a couple of years. I want you guys to be overseas. I don't want to see you. I don't want to see you next trip. I don't want to see you. Honestly, I don't want to see you. Send me a message from what? Overseas, inshallah ta'ala. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. أسأل أن يوفقكم وأن يوفقنا جميعا. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاك الله خيرا. بارك الله فيك. Guys, enjoy the rest of your night.